Hi everyone, I'm so happy to be back with you today to do a YouTube today on card creating. It's been a while. I haven't done any videos since the end of last year, and it's not because of the COVID-19. Those of you who follow me on Flickr or other places might know that I was involved in a car accident back in November, and as a result of that car accident, I had a shattered wrist. So that meant a couple of surgeries, 6 months of occupational therapy, somewhat cut short by the COVID-19. Some of it was done virtually, but the good news is I'm back to near 100% with movement on my right hand. And you know, one of the things that kept me going through all that rehab and so forth was just the idea of doing the things that I love, especially card making. So with that being said, I just want to say how excited I am to be back, and I wanted to share with you a couple of cards that I just made. These cards were made for the Wednesday challenge over at Simon Says Stamp. Simon Says Stamp does a Wednesday challenge each and every week. And this week's challenge was to use something metallic. So in doing that, I decided to make this dragonfly from the Etched Dragonfly die set that I just got, using some metallic papers that I have for the wings. Okay, this first card is done in purples, and as you can see, it's a little more on the feminine side. And the second one, I used a different paper to make and coloring to make the card a more masculine one. So these are the two cards that I've already made. So the star of the show for these cards was this metallic shimmery dragonfly. So first I'll show you how I did that for the cards. For the silvery one that I used on my purple card, and what we're going to use on the card that we're doing today, I cut them out of this holographic paper from Die Cuts with a View. The 6x6 stack that I had in my stash has lots of pretty papers that would work for beautiful dragonfly wings. And the other one that I used for my green card was a paper that came in the September Simon Says Stamp kit. This is the Tim Holtz metallic Kraft paper, and it comes in different colors too, and this too worked beautifully for making my dragonflies. So those are the two that we're going to use, and I just wanted to show you, I've already die cut out of that holographic paper, the dragonfly wings, and I just want to show you how easy it is to put them together. What I'm doing is I have this silicone mat from ALTENEW that a friend gave me, and I just put it over top of my glass mat, and I found that this is a great work surface for when you're gluing something that's a little bit hard to do, like these. And then all I had to do is just add a drop of glue right here in the center, and the glue I'm using here is the Multimedia Matte by Ranger. You could also use any strong glue. This was one of the hardest things that I had to do after my surgery, was the squeezing motion, and I'm so happy that it's back. And then, so as you can see, I just had the little drop of glue there. And then all I needed to do, I discovered, was just push this down and hold that for a second so that the two attached. Now it's not going to work because I'm trying to do it here. I'll work it there, like so. And the glue doesn't stick to the mat, but sticks to the butterfly. So you'll be able to, once this is dry, and it's not totally dry now, but once it is totally dry, you can just pick it up and it stays really well attached. So that's how the butterflies are put together. Very easy and simple to do. So the card I'm going to make, I'm going to use blues because blues are my favorites. And I also already took the liberty of cutting out my panel that I'm going to put on the front of my card, my front panel. And I use the one of my go-tos, the Simon Says Stamp bundle of stitch shapes and the rectangle stitch shape in that to cut out our front panel. So I have that already die cut and ready for you to go. My die cut, my cutting machine is on my opposite wall, and on that wall I do not have a camera, so I find that if I do this beforehand, it saves a lot of time. So what I'm doing here is some sort of fussy stuff, and you wouldn't have to do this if you didn't want to, but I always like that little bit of a white margin around the edge. So what I'm doing is taking some purple tape and I'm just lining it up with that stitched edge on all four sides of my panel. Like I said, this is kind of a fussy work here, and if you didn't want to do that, you would not have to do that part. Just something that I like to do. And then I also cut out a mask that is, it measures 2 inches by 3 inches. And I'm going to take the mask and we're just going to place it where we're going to want to put the sentiment on our card. So what I've decided is this one I'm going to do like at a little bit of an angle. So I'm going to put this, so we're going to mask out the spot where the sentiment is going to go. So that is right there and at a diagonal to the rest of the card. Then I'm going to pull out the colors that I'm going to use today for this. All of the cards that I made, the 2 previous ones and this one, use the Distress Oxide for the backgrounds. For the first color, I'm going to use this new Speckled Egg color. I love this new color, and I think I just saw this morning that in the new kit for next month, we're going to get a mini cube of this color in the regular Distress ink, and I don't have that one, so I'm really excited to get it. So I'm just going to put like a layer of color here in the back. This doesn't have to be real even or anything like that, because we're going to actually add, it's the background, and we're going to actually add even another color. So that was a Speckled Egg. The other color I'm going to use for the background here is Stormy Sky. And we're just going to place that in a couple spots. Like I said, it doesn't have to be real even or anything, because we are going to use it as a background. So at this point, what would be nice, I think, is I did this on my green card, is just take some water and my spritzer and just spray a few drops of water on the background. Give it a moment to react there. And then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to clean up the edge here, and then I'm going to come in and just blot that. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it did give a little more detail. Now what I'm going to do is peel this off and take it over to my heat gun. I'll be right back. So now this is, I've taken it over, it's drier, and that even brought out more of that detail in the background. I also like the way that I can just sort of lightly attach it again to the silicone mat and it holds it in place. Alright, now what I'm going to do is work with the stenciling in the background, and for that I'm using this Simon Says Stamp leaf stencil. It's a small stencil set of 4 different leaves. I'm just going to use one of the leaves, and I'm going to use the color, the darker color that we used in the background, to just put some stenciled leaves in. So So that's what we're going to do next. And I'm just being careful not to go off of the edge, but just to get, you know, just to ink it on the stencil. This is going to be a nice sort of tone-on-tone card. So we'll put one there, and I got a little bit right there, but I'm not too concerned about it because, you know, our dragonflies are going to go in there anyway, so I think it'll be just fine. And we're going to put one coming in this way. I'll be a little more careful on the edge there. I could put some masking paper underneath there if I were really terribly concerned. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take off our mask for the where the greeting is going to go, and overlap some of the leaves into that area. I think that gives a nice look, sort of a more free look. We're going to do that here. Again, trying to be careful not to get on the white where the greeting is going to go. And we'll put maybe a couple of leaves over here in this corner. And maybe one coming in this way. Okay, so before I touch anything else, I'm going to get wipe off my fingers and clean off our little stencil. There we go. So then that's the two color background, and that was the Stormy Sky and the Speckled Egg that I used in the colors in the background. So before I do anything else, I'm going to take this again back to my heat gun because I want to dry the leaves, because for the greeting I want to actually do some heat embossing on that too. So I'll be right back. Okay, so that's all dry, and I'm just going to pull off my purple tape, and I can save this for another project. We'll put that over to the side, and I'm going to clean my mat here, and there you go. So now what's left to do now is to put on a greeting on our panel, and I'm going to use the happy birthday greeting from my Simon Says stamp. This set is called Greeting Mix 2, and I'm using the happy birthday on this one, and I used it on the green card that I did, and this one, Wish You Were Here, I did on the purple card. But this is a nice set too. It's called Greeting Mix 2, and it has lots of lovely sentiments in it. And so that's the one we're going to use. I'm going to put my panel in, and I'll line that up so that it's sort of straight, or where we'd like to have it. It's going to be right there, I think would be nice. And I'm going to emboss this, and a lot of times when I do a greeting that's black and I want it embossed, I will use my VersaFine Black Onyx ink. So that's what we're going to do. You know, I almost forgot to put on my powder, which I definitely want to give it a nice coat so that none of that embossing powder sticks to any place we don't want it. Okay, let's try that again. I'm sure everybody does that, almost forgets, and then remembers just in the moment of truth. Okay, so I'm going to give that a good stamping, and it looks like it's stamped well. And I'm going to take this to my embossing powder and heat gun again, which, like I said, is on the other side, and I will be right back. So I'm back, and you might have noticed that when I left here, that was black inked with my VersaFine Black Onyx ink. But what I did when I was over at my embossing table is I embossed it with BRUTUS MONROE's Sterling Sparkle embossing powder. And so I oftentimes do that if I, if it's an opaque embossing powder, I could do it right over the VersaFine Black Onyx, because that ink is so wet that it'll pick up the embossing powder just fine. I could have also just embossed it with clear embossing powder and it would have been an embossed black sentiment, but that's what I did. So now all we have to do is finish off the card. So for my card base, I'm using an A2 size card base, and this particular cardstock is from Gina K. I think it's her Ocean Mist color. It would have also been nice if I had, she has one that's a blue denim, but I don't think I have that right now. So I need to get some more, either from Gina K or from the Simon Says Stamp site. I can get that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put some adhesive along the edges here. Any adhesive runner would do, because what I'm going to do here is do this. There's just a tiny bit of warping in this from the heat that I put on it. So what I sometimes like to do is take some strong tape, like some score tape, and put a couple of lines of the score tape in a diagonal or bias to the card. And then when I peel that off, I'm going to peel that off, and then we can, it's a little not so sticky around the edges so that you can line it up easily, but it gives enough strong tack in the center to take out some of that little bit of warping that was there. Then all that's left to do is to add my Dragonfly embellishments. So I think we're going to add them. Again, I'm going to work on my mat here and use some multimedia from Ranger and add the dragonflies in the positions where we want them. I think one is going to go right here. And I've already gotten some of these all glued together. I think when you start making these dragonflies, you get addicted and you can make a lot. So I'm going to have some more for other projects later on. And we'll put that one just so it sort of covers up that little flaw that we have in the background. And then I think we need one more right up here. We'll put him right there. So I just sort of envision them flying off the side of the card. And then you can also, what I think I'm also going to do, I didn't do on my other cards, but I'm going to add a couple of drops of the multimedia here in different areas, and we're going to add some gemstones. And one right there. So that finishes the card. And I didn't glue the wings down, or I didn't pop them up or anything either. I just sort of want to leave them sort of free. But that is, this one even goes off at the edge a little bit. I could adjust it, or I think there's room in the envelope. I'm not even too concerned about that, so I'm just going to leave him. But you might want to push that particular dragonfly back a little bit. So that's the blue version of the card, and you can see how simple and easy that was. Let me just go over the colors that I used on my other cards in case you were interested in doing those. For this green one, like I said, I used the Kraft metallic cardstock from the Tim Holtz Ideology line, and the colors that I used for this particular card in the background, I used just the two colors like the one we did today. I used old paper and peeled paint on that one, and instead of using the Sterling BRUTUS MONROE Sterling embossing powder, I just used a clear embossing powder over the black on this one to give it that more masculine look. And for the purple version of the card, I used the different greeting. I did the same technique with my sentiment. It's, you know, the black ink, but then I embossed it with the silver. And the colors that I used in the background of this one were the milled lavender, the Seedless Preserve, and the Dusty Concord. I used 3 colors in that one. I will put all of the colors and the list of supplies in my description on the YouTube, and it'll be on my website too. So I hope that you enjoyed the card that we made today, and that you learned something that's helpful for you, or inspiring at least. And I hope everybody has a wonderful week, a great day, and I'm very anxious and happy to be back, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.